For the past 2 years, the world has been without electricity and water. Money has lost its value, now just worthless paper. A single bottle of water costs $2,500, and former millionaires are trading their luxury watches and cars for mere grains of rice. The story unfolds in modern-day Tokyo, where the Suzuki family resides in a high-rise apartment, unable to imagine life without their electronic gadgets. Yoshiyuki, the head of the family, is an office worker who unwinds after work in front of the TV. His wife, Mitsue, is hesitant to butcher the live fish sent by her father from the countryside, as they are unaccustomed to such food. Their daughter, Yui, is glued to her phone, constantly texting friends, while their son, Kenji, never takes off his headphones, always lost in music. Concerned about their growing detachment, Mitsue urges Yoshiyuki to engage with their children instead of watching TV. Exhausted, he simply goes to sleep. The next morning, Yoshiyuki wakes up confused. His alarm clock isn't working. In fact, every clock in the house is dead. The entire apartment is without power, and the food in the refrigerator has spoiled. The children panic upon realizing their gadgets won't turn on. Despite this, each family member sets out for their daily routine. With the elevator out of order, they must take the stairs. Yoshiyuki heads to the subway, only to find the trains have stopped running. Cars and buses are also at a standstill, with no explanation. Bicycles become the only means of transport. Meanwhile, Mitsu's neighbors inform her that this is the first major blackout in 20 years. Rumors spread that the entire district is affected, prompting residents to rush for supplies. Arriving at his office on foot, Yoshiyuki finds the workplace eerily silent. No computers, no power. Yui's school and Kenji's university face the same situation. Mitsue, now at the supermarket, fills her cart with candles and water, joining a massive queue. With ATMs and card payments out of service, only cash is accepted. Throughout the day, Yoshiyuki and his colleagues remain hopeful that power will soon be restored, but helplessness sets in. On his way home, he purchases a bicycle just in case. That evening, the Suzuki family eats by candlelight. Without electricity, the water pumps don't function, making bathing impossible. Fortunately, Mitsue had the foresight to fill a bathtub earlier. Stepping onto the balcony, she gazes at a night sky brighter than ever before, unobscured by city lights. One by one, the rest of the family joins her, something they had never done before. By the third day, life in Tokyo grows harsher. Mitsue washes clothes by hand, while Yoshiyuki's boss tells employees to stay home until power returns, urging them to focus on survival. Yoshiyuki, skeptical of the crisis, demands an explanation, only to see his boss gathering his family in search of drinking water. At the pumping station, Mitsue joins a desperate crowd. Workers emerge to announce that there is no more water. Panic and shouting erupt. Meanwhile, Yoshiyuki, attempting to withdraw cash from a bank, gets caught in a violent mob. Punched in the nose, he flees, bloodied and shaken. By the 7th day, supermarket shelves are bare. Schools shut down. The residents of the Suzuki family's building hold a meeting, unsure if power is out across the entire country. Some fear Tokyo will collapse without new supplies, while others insist on staying put, afraid of looters. Those who choose to leave are scorned by their neighbors. The crisis deepens when an elderly resident passes away. Shaken by the death, the Suzukis decide to flee to Mitsu's father's village in Kagoshima. With Tokyo's infrastructure paralyzed, Yoshiyuki plans to cycle to the nearest airport and fly the rest of the way. Yui resents the idea of moving to a remote village but has no choice. She packs an excess of clothes, while Kenji clings to his gadgets, hoping they will be useful. The family gathers their remaining cash, uncertain if it will be enough for plane tickets. However, Mitsue, anticipating hard times, reveals a hidden stash of money she had saved. At dawn, they leave quietly, avoiding neighbors' attention. As they set off, Yoshiyuki scolds Yui for being unprepared for real life, but she fires back, calling him the most helpless of them all. With only 3 bicycles for 4 people, they somehow manage and begin their journey. On the way, they are forced to buy water at an exorbitant price, 2,500 yen per bottle. As they pause for lunch by a lake, they see a man fishing, which disgusts Yui. Upon reaching the airport, they find it in chaos. Planes are grounded, and police struggle to control an angry mob. People attempt to scale the fences in desperation. Realizing they have no hope of flying, the Suzukis retreat. That night, they stay at a hotel, where Yui pleads to return home. Yoshiyuki, however, insists they will cycle all the way to Kagoshima. Yui bursts into tears, refusing to go. Mitsue also doubts they can cross the country by bicycle, but there are no alternatives. They need an extra bike, a map, and more supplies. By morning, Kenji and Yui find a children's map at a store, shocked to discover that Kagoshima is over a month's journey away. Meanwhile, Their parents spot a rice vendor with a spare bicycle. She refuses cash, accepting only water or food in exchange. With no other choice, the Suzukis barter their water and 2 bottles of wine for a bicycle and a sack of rice. By evening, the family reaches a new city, only to find that it too is without electricity. They decide to spend the night near the walls of a closed museum. In the middle of the night, Kenji wakes up to see a man stealing a bottle of water from his bag. He chases after the thief but, upon catching up, realizes the man needed the water for a small child. Kenji returns empty-handed. The next morning, the family arrives at a long, dark tunnel. At the entrance, blind elderly women offer to guide travelers through in exchange for a bottle of water. The Suzuki family declines but soon encounters abandoned cars and dead animals inside the tunnel. Overcome with disgust, they turn back and accept the women's help. On the 16th day, they stop by a river, nearly out of matches and completely out of water. Ignoring the others' warnings, Yoshiyuki drinks directly from the river. Later that day, a sudden storm forces them to abandon their bikes and take shelter under a bridge. Strong winds blow their bikes away, and Yoshiyuki falls ill with severe diarrhea. After the rain subsides, they gather their scattered belongings. Kenji's bike has a flat tire, Mitsu's glasses are broken, their bag of rice is torn, and Yoshiyuki's condition worsens due to water poisoning. The children head to a nearby supermarket and manage to find distilled water, canned cat food, glue for the tire, and a flare. Meanwhile, Yoshiyuki struggles to start a fire using friction. Yui tries the canned food and spits it out in disgust. However, by the 22nd day, the family is eating it without hesitation. On their journey, they meet another family, well adapted to survival. These people laugh, play cards, drink tea, and eat dried fish. They teach the Suzuki family valuable survival skills: how to collect water from mountain streams, smoke fish, and identify edible plants. A boy in the group takes a picture of the exhausted Suzuki family with a film camera, promising to send it to them one day. While the others appreciate the encounter, Yoshiyuki remains skeptical. Eventually, the families part ways, and the Suzuki family heads toward a major city, hoping to find electricity. On the 43rd day, they reach their destination, only to discover there is no power there either. Frustrated and exhausted, Yui lashes out at her father, blaming him for their hardships. Kenji and Mitsue soon join in. Feeling defeated, Yoshiyuki collapses to the ground in despair. After some time, the family reaches an aquarium, where workers have resorted to catching and cooking the fish for those in need. They join a long line for food, but by the time they reach the front, nothing is left. Desperate, Yoshiyuki falls to his knees, pleading for food for his children, but there simply isn't any. On the 67th day, they arrive at a remote village, where they spot a pig in a field. Hungry and desperate, they chase the animal. After several failed attempts, Yoshiyuki finally kills it, but none of them knows how to butcher it. Just then, an elderly farmer named Takanasan approaches and finishes the job. He takes them to his home, where they can finally drink fresh water. Takanasan explains that many farm animals have escaped and asks for their help in rounding them up. In exchange, he offers them food and shelter. The family readily agrees. That night, after a satisfying meal, Yui eats pork and cries from hunger and relief. Initially disgusted by the butchering process, the family soon adapts. They work hard during the day and experience immense joy when they finally get to bathe. Takanasan provides them with clean clothes and a place to sleep. That night, Mitsue silently holds her husband's hand, signaling forgiveness for past grievances. After a week, the Suzuki family feels comfortable in village life. Takanasan invites them to stay permanently, but they know Mitsu's father is waiting for them in Kagoshima. He gives them plenty of meat for the journey, and they set off once again. Along the way, the bond between family members strengthens. 3 days later, they reach a river with no bridge. Undeterred, Yoshiyuki starts building a raft from logs on the shore. The family works together, and once it is ready, they sail across to the other side, continuing their arduous journey. A heavy downpour begins as Yui and her mother cross to the opposite bank, while the men prepare for another trip to transport the bicycles. However, the raft begins to break apart, and the bikes sink into the water. Desperate to salvage anything, Yoshiyuki vanishes beneath the river's surface. When the rain finally stops, Kenji discovers the remains of the raft and his father's wig. The family realizes the heartbreaking truth: Yoshiyuki is gone. On the 94th day, the surviving Suzuki continue their journey toward Kagoshima, following the railway tracks. Mitsue lags behind, overcome with grief for her husband, even refusing to eat. As Yui eats a piece of pork, she notices a stray dog nearby and offers it some meat. Before long, a pack of hungry strays surrounds them, growling and attacking Mitsu's backpack. She tries to fight them off but stumbles and tumbles down a slope. The children rush to her side, only to find that she has broken her leg. Despite the pain, Mitsue struggles to keep moving, but the dogs return, snarling with hunger. Realizing they are defenseless, the family sits helplessly on the railway tracks, awaiting their fate. Just then, the piercing whistle of a locomotive fills the air. The approaching train frightens the dogs away and comes to a stop in front of them. Aboard the train, the family finds food, water, and even a doctor who sets Mitsu's leg in a cast. Though things begin to improve, the children weep uncontrollably, mourning their father. Meanwhile, Yoshiyuki awakens on the riverbank, barely conscious and unsure how he survived. Exhausted, he stumbles into a nearby field and collapses against a tractor. As he sits there, the distant sound of a steam locomotive reaches his ears. Too weak to stand or call for help, he suddenly remembers the signal flare he had kept in his pocket all along. Lighting it, he watches as the bright streak cuts through the sky. From the train window, his family spots the flare. Overjoyed, they plead for the train to stop and rush to reunite with him. With their family whole again, Yoshiyuki casts away his wig, embracing a fresh start. The Suzuki family grows closer, learning to face hardships with laughter instead of despair. On the 108th day, they finally arrive in the coastal village of Kagoshima, where Mitsu's father welcomes them with open arms. 2 years and 126 days later, life has settled into a peaceful rhythm. The men have become skilled fishermen, Yui has mastered the art of sewing, and Mitsue helps her father cultivate tomatoes. The Suzuki family thrives in simplicity, content without the luxuries of the past. One early morning, Yoshiyuki is startled awake by an unfamiliar sound. Following it to the storage room, he discovers an old clock, its alarm ringing loudly. Suddenly, the radio crackles to life, and the lights flicker on. The family stares in disbelief. Some time later, they return to Tokyo, where life has resumed its bustling pace. News anchors on television report that, for reasons still unknown, a global power outage had occurred 2.5 years ago. As Yui prepares for her sewing circle and Mitsue cooks a meal of meatball soup and fried fish, the family finds themselves at peace, balancing the conveniences of modern life with the simple joys they once rediscovered. Just as they gather at the doorstep of their home, the postman arrives with an unexpected delivery: a photograph. It's the picture taken long ago on the road to Kagoshima, capturing the Suzuki family, weary and hungry, standing in the middle of the highway.